Botched halftime show, botched second half, botched everything.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome welcome all to what's going to be a fun, I'm sure, post-game of the Illini losing 65-79 to the Michigan State Spartans. While you're here, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. This channel continues to grow, and it's all because of you guys. We continue to be one of the fastest growing channels right here on the Locked On Network, and it's all because of you. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, the new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Where do we start with this game, right? I don't know about you guys, but once I saw that what's supposed to be a special occasion at halftime with Terrence Shannon Jr. and the banner goes upside down, at that point, I was like, you know what? This is a bad omen. It's hard to recover something like that. And that's only Illinois, right? That's something I feel like that can only happen with this university. And the funny thing is, let's be honest, us as Illini fans, we're going to have to own that meme for the foreseeable future at this point. Who knows? Who knew? Well, I knew that it was a sign of things to come for the rest of that game. Cliff notes, of course, Michigan State just dominates that second half. And I wouldn't even say second half. The final 8 minutes and 30 seconds, Illinois scores nothing. 0 points. They're up 65-64. Morez Johnson makes what could have gone down as the block of the year. And then nothing. Illinois seemingly just runs out of energy. And quite honestly, just they had nothing. They reverted to bad Illinois. And by bad Illinois, I'm talking about just shooting three after three after three when the three is clearly just not going in. Today's loss, I want to hear you guys' MVP, who you guys think, what you guys think the cause of this loss is. To me, I hate to say it, but I think it's pretty clear. I defend him all the time on the show, and I'm still a big proponent of Coach Brad Underwood, but the game plan, the blueprint was there to beat this Michigan State team, and they just didn't make any adjustments to do it. It's very typical in the sense where there's always some random guy on the opposition who just goes off against Illinois. That always tends to happen. And in this case, it was Kohler, 9 for 13 from the field, 4 for 5 from three-point land, finishing with 23 points. I believe his career high, or at least season high, coming into this game was 15. But again, Illinois gives up 42 points to a Michigan State team in that second half. And I hate to say it, we saw Indiana, and Mike Woodson is a far worse coach than what Brad Underwood is, and he figured it out, something that Brad wouldn't. And look, Brad's going to talk in this post-game press conference, and again, these are the frustrations that we have with him because we see all the good, but then his flaws are just sometimes so glaring. He's just going to say, "Hey, we are one of the best, most efficient defenses in the country. This is how we play. We're not going to change things up for one game." That's fine. But in this particular case, Michigan State has a clear weakness. And they lost to a far inferior team in Indiana. And for some reason, I don't know. If you guys can let me know. I had the first half on mute for most of the game just because I was in the middle of something else. But I didn't see that 2-3 zone that, watch, every other team from here on out is going to play a 2-3 zone against Michigan State until they learn to beat that. But Brad didn't. And now this is the game which, selfishly as a fan, and I'm sure this is why I see the comments are going crazy. This is an emotional loss, right? This is one that stings. This is one we wanted, not just because of, Terrence Shannon Jr. and celebrating his last 2 years with the Illini and honoring him, but because of what happened a month ago, where, a lot of us felt that game was taken from the Illini. But let's be clear, this one wasn't. Today, Michigan State was the better team than our Fighting Illini. Illinois, for whatever reason, again, reverted to what they don't do very well, ultimately finishing 7 of 33 from three-point land. And I believe they started off at a pretty decent percentage, especially with that hot start in that first half, up 16 at some point. Of course, everybody's hyped. Everybody's feeling good at that point. Michigan State, slowly creeps back, which I knew they would. I didn't at any point think that Illinois was going to blow this Michigan State team out because, they're a soundly coached team. Tom Izzo, like I didn't see them giving up. So I knew the game would get closer. But the ending of that second half, I think it was clearly obvious the team got exhausted. If you're in my Discord, and if you're not, please join us. We were talking throughout the game. And I believe with 13 minutes left in the second half, I'm like, hey, Morez looks winded. One adjustment we did seem to make was, go after their lack of bigs. And Morez was involved in almost every single play at the beginning of that second half. And we were winning. But the thing is, Morez was being involved and worked in that first half, but also he was carrying us on the defensive end. And at 13-minute mark, I don't remember who was shooting the free throw, but I just zeroed in on Morez, and you can tell he was a little winded, a little tired. And they were counting on him to do a lot. The rest of the team just couldn't carry their weight. Again, bad three-point shot after bad three-point shot. I think it's one of those where I'm frustrated. I'll be honest. It's not easy coming on live after these type of games, right? Again, my folks in the Discord, I love all of you, but some of you even said, hey, I'll hit the like button, but I don't know how much I can watch this one. And I don't blame you. But we need to talk about this basketball team. This one, in my opinion, was probably the toughest loss to handle because other games, there were no shows, right? USC, no show. This game, for the, 70% of the game, it was a battle. This was a fun game to watch. Back and forth, bodies on, diving for loose balls. Block shots, scrambling, chaos. But then, 65-64, Illinois is winning with, I believe, 7 minutes and 59 seconds left. And then nothing after that. It's like they put a lid on top of the basket. And again, I don't have the stat in front of me. Maybe you guys will have it. But how many how many of those 33 three-pointers came in those last eight minutes or so? It's just, it's frustrating. And I know you guys are frustrated. I'm frustrated. I said with 17 minutes left in that second half, I tweeted out that, hey, we're going to find out what this Illinois team is all about. And I meant, once the game was tied, it's like, okay, this could go two ways. This game could go, hey, Illinois perseveres like they did against UCLA. Or this team could struggle and let the game get away from them, which this team is prone to let happen. And unfortunately for us, it was the latter. It's tough. I have my issues with Brad. I have them right now. For the third straight game, essentially, he played 6 guys. Kylan Boswell, 29 minutes. By the way, Kylan Boswell just got cardio out there today. Will Riley, 30 minutes. Morez Johnson, 25 minutes. Jacques Chichonis, 37 minutes. Hammerkaus, 31 minutes. And Avicic, 30 minutes. Trey White, who, I gave the benefit of the doubt. He missed the last game. And I was like, hey, he's still recovering from that sickness. But you know what? That's obviously not the case. Brad literally said that he's healthy in the pregame press conference for this game. So apparently Trey White's just out of this rotation. Why? I understand some of the data might tell you that. Derek Piper of 24/7 did a fantastic job. I'm just going to kind of give the cliff notes of it. If you're not subscribed to Illini Inquirer, I'm telling you, there's no better premium service than they do. So like the Cliff Notes was basically showing that the on-the-court performance, that when Morez and Trey White are on the floor together, this team struggles offensively. It struggles because you can't have two non-shooters. And let's get into it right after this. Let me run this commercial break. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off and want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So I'll go more in depth with it next week on a segment so I can kind of collect my thoughts a little bit more. But again, it's just you're running this team to exhaustion, playing so many limited guys. Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn with 3 minutes today. Trey White, again, 0. You can't, even if Trey White is not letting you play the most efficiently on offense because of his inability to make wide open three-pointers, it doesn't matter. You can't play these guys constantly. I don't care how young they are. You can't play all of them 33, 34 minutes a game. And I think we caught a glimpse of that today. Again, with 8 minutes left, Illinois scored 0 points. And the guys just looked exhausted. It's just a frustrating game. A player of the game, this is usually what I do in the second half. To me, player of the game was clearly Morez Johnson Jr. The kid keeps getting better and better, and that's what we need, right? It's great to see his growth game by game. Today we counted on him because Michigan State had nobody that can guard him, and for the most part, Illinois did a really good job of that. They did a really good job of feeding him or, cutting to the basket, leaving Morez open for dunks. But it wasn't enough. Avicic, as great of a game as he had against UCLA today, just struggled. And, it's to be expected. He is nursing that ankle. And so, to expect him to play at 100%, 110% every single time, maybe too much. But today, in 30 minutes, Avicic had 4 points in 2 for 9 shooting, 0 for 4 from three-point land, and 3 turnovers. 11 turnovers for the Illini in general. Look, when Will Riley's hitting, when Kasparis is hitting, and when Avicic is hitting, there's not many teams in the country this Illinois team can't beat. But today, Kasparis had a decent game, right? 17 points, 17, 5, and 1. So, a below average Kasparis game. Will Riley, I thought, was one of our better players today. He had, in 30 minutes, he had 13 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, continuing to show the all-around game. But with Avicic struggling, Ben Hummerkaus goes 3 for 10. And guess what? Tell me if you've heard this before, 0 for 6 from three-point land. And I said earlier, Kylan Boswell was out there doing cardio today. 29 minutes, 0 points, 0 for 2 field goals, 0 for 1 from three-point land, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. You're telling me if there's anything that Trey White excels at and what Illinois excels at, it's rebounding that basketball. In that second half, it was noticeable how many offensive rebounds that Michigan State was getting that Illinois was not. Trey White is one of those guys who can come in and get you 5, 6, 7 rebounds a game. But he was sat for who? For Kylan Boswell, who had 0 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist in 29 minutes? You're telling me Trey White couldn't have done something for 10 minutes, a spot 10 minutes? Let's just see what happens. Let's put him in the game. Look, he's been on the bench for a couple games now. He knows what the coach said about him. Hey, Brad said that he had a conversation with Trey. Maybe Trey entering the game energizes him a little bit. And he's diving for loose balls, and that gets everyone else excited. They're happy for their teammate. But no, Brad just continues to stay stubborn, continues to stay stingy. Got 130 people watching, and we got 24 likes. Let's up that up, please. Again, it's win or lose. I'm always on here after each and every game doing the solo. Look, there's nobody else out there who's providing as much Illini content as me. And it's not the easiest thing in the world, again, especially on days like this. But I really do enjoy the discourse back and forth with you guys all, in the chat. I know sometimes you guys are happy, sometimes you guys are upset, sometimes you're happy with me. Sometimes you guys are upset with me, but I still produce Illini content every single day of this calendar year, and I will continue to do so until I can't. So let's get those likes up. Drayvon Gibbs-Lawhorn. 0-0, everything essentially. He had 1 rebound in 3 minutes. Again, you're just putting so much stress. Yes, you might have some of the best stars of any roster in the Big Ten, but you're putting too much pressure on them. You know how I know this? I saw it happen, 13 years ago. I'm a lifelong Chicago Bulls fan. Tom Thibodeau did the same exact thing. He ran his stars to the ground. And right now, I know they're young. I know they're 18, 19 years old. But I just think you're putting way too much on those shoulders right now. Trey White is a junior. Okay, he can provide some sort of leadership. Ty Rodgers is not on this team because Trey White is. And again, Trey White's one of those guys who makes plays for himself. You don't run anything for Trey. There's no offensive set where Trey White is the go-to guy. He gets his points off of rebounds, off of transitions. You know what game we could have used some easy buckets? How about tonight against Michigan State, a team that thrives on transition? That's a team that can't shoot. Today, 5 of 12 from three-point land was Michigan State. And even those 12 must have come late in the game because it was even lower than that most of the game. It's a team that can't shoot, but they know what roles to play. The difference is Illinois had 2 good three-point shooting games in a row, and all of a sudden we're like, hey, maybe we are a good three-point shooting team. Sometimes it's frustrating because I get what the staff is trying to do. You're playing the numbers game. You're playing the analytics game. But basketball, if anything, is more of a game that has to rely on feel and momentum than the other games. Okay, baseball, I get it. It's one-on-one each and every time. It's a situational, whatnot. Basketball's not like that. It's momentum. It's feel. It's certain guys you can see visually. And at this point, he's just being too stubborn. Too stubborn to the point where we're losing this season. At 9-7 now. And guess what? We got a red-hot Wisconsin team on Tuesday who had one of the most impressive performances I've seen of any Big Ten team in their win at Mackey earlier on Saturday. Guess what? Illinois goes to the Kohl Center on Tuesday. I'm not feeling good about that game. Neither should you. I said in the Discord that, hey, guys, I just watched that Wisconsin team. Like, that's a good offense, the Badgers. But I said today was a must-win because of that game that we're going to play on Tuesday against Wisconsin, which I'm not feeling good about. And then who do we have after that? How about the number 3 team in the country at Madison Square Garden? Cooper Flagg. Are you feeling good about that one? Michigan State loss. Wisconsin on Tuesday, potentially a loss. I know we're historically good against Wisconsin. We've had Greg Gard's number. But there's no way that's what you count on. Right now, I'm sure Wisconsin's going to be the favorite into that game, as they should be. And if they're not, hammer Wisconsin. Make sure you use FanDuel. But then we got Duke. This Illinois team at this point could lose 3 in a row. And guess what? They're going to be 9-9 in the conference. And that's why I look back at games like today, where there's no other word I can think of. Stubbornness. It's just believing that, eventually, I've seen him make it in practice. Look, 3 is more than 2. We get that. I know. But it's one thing if you were still a month into the season. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt if we're 2 months into the season. We're in mid-February. We're, 3 weeks out from March Madness. You can play those Ken Pom ratings all you want. You can try to gamify the net ranking all you want. But even the most optimist that is an Illini fan, how confident are you going to feel against anybody Illinois faces in that first round? You figure at this point, Illinois is going to be what? 6, 7, 8 seed? How confident are you going to be on that game 1 matchup, regardless of who it is? You're not going to have a cakewalk in that first game. And we've just seen how up and down this team can be. And not just this team. We see that, Brad's had a history of just not making adjustments when it becomes clear as day. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it works out. But more often than not, it doesn't. I'll get to more right after this. Again, so 9-7, Illinois, 0 points in the last 8 minutes and 21 seconds. We got a lot of comments in the chat. At this point, I don't know how many I'm going to be able to get to, just because it's hard doing the solo, right? Usually I can have someone else looking at the comment section. If something sticks out at me, I'll definitely I'll try to get to it. I apologize if I can't. Czar, another Blunderwood special. I'm not disagreeing with you. St. Dominic says Brad is not a top 10 coach. By what metric is Sonny using? Absolutely. Get your guys' thoughts out. I don't mind. Again, remember, this is the venting session. 24 hours. Say whatever you want. I'm thinking I've been ranting, right? I'm not even noticing how long we're into this episode at this point, just because I'm frustrated. The blueprint was there, and trust me, I wanted to win this game so bad. So bad. And again, not just because of what happened a month ago, but the Terrence Shannon Jr. situation, which, by the way, how does that happen? That upside down image of that banner going up is going to, again, Illinois, our fan base, which is already so easily trolled, is going to get baited for the foreseeable future now. For the next couple of years, that image is going to pop up every time an opposing fan base is trying to troll. And it's deserved. Whoever did that needs to be fined. And I'm not someone to call for anyone's job. Some of you are going to be calling for my job at this point. All right. Trucker says decent season, but team was overrated, to be honest. Not enough dogs like TSJ and company. Yeah, I mean, we can't really decide if the team was overrated until we decide it or figure it out at the end of the season. The team is clearly very talented, but Brad's made some decisions, and some decisions that we're going to see at the end of the year if it pays off. Right now, on February 15th, I don't feel good about it. I'll be honest. I don't feel good about it. 53 likes, 135 people watching, 135 people joining me on this therapy session on Locked On Illini. I appreciate each and every one of you. I know this feeling stinks. I feel it too. It's hard for me to push that record live button to get on with you guys, but I do it because you guys continue to support the channel. So please, let's get that up to at least 75. Let's get to 75 likes on the show if you guys don't mind. GF says, enough of metrics and analytics. What works is getting the ball inside and driving. Once we chuck threes, we lost momentum. It's right in front of our eyes. No need to worry about analytics. Done. That's the episode right there. GF, thank you. I'll mail you the check. It's frustrating. And again, I don't even usually when I finish this post game, it's half hour, 40 minutes after the game. So Brad's post game press conference is up. So I'll go watch that and then share it in the Discord and we'll share thoughts about it. I don't know if I want to watch that post game press conference today because I have a lot of frustration. I know Brad's just he believes in what he believes in, right? And to this day, I don't know if he's going to change. I just simply agree with him. Disagree with him. He's made a lot more money coaching this game than I have. And he's a lot smarter than I am. But as GF said, sometimes the game is in front of you. You don't have to think too hard. Andrew says, we have no pride. The team in Underwood can't even protect home court. Brad must take accountability for the amount of threes taken. The frustrating thing is, Andrew, he will take accountability for it. And my guess is he's going to say, yeah, well, they're open shots. I want them to never pass up these open shots. Again, that's where the frustration lies. By the way, I hate you. Zar says, well, on one bench you have Tom Izzo, the other offensive coach, and by an unqualified coach's son. Again, I'm not going to agree with that, but congratulations to Tom Izzo, becoming the all-time winningest coach in Big Ten history. Again, he had this team is flawed. This Michigan State team is flawed, but Illinois, through their own stubbornness, refused to take advantage of those flaws. And guess what? Michigan State was a better team today. We have plenty to gripe about what happened on January 19th. And I still think that Illinois was shafted in that game. But there's no excuses today. Zero. Tom Izzo outcoached Brad Underwood. That Michigan State team cared more than the Illini did, as Alan said here. Again, I truly believe that Illinois today just kind of ran out of gas. And it's unfortunate because these are young guys, but your stubbornness on just focusing on these analytics and ignoring the positive that some of these players give you. Trey Gibbs-Longhorn, he was on his way to turning around the season before he got sick because of his energy. He was put in as a starter. He was playing great. Then he gets sick, and now he can't come off the bench anymore. Why? This team needed energy in the final 8 minutes when nobody was scoring. When, to my eyes, maybe you guys agree or disagree. I don't know. But this team just ran out of energy. Like, that would have been the perfect time to bring in DGL. Why not? Kylan Boswell, again, had 0 points in 29 minutes, 0 for 2 from field goal. I know he had a decently sound defensive game. So, of course, I'm acknowledging that. I did like what I saw from on the defensive side. But you know what? It's going to be very hard to win a game when you don't score for stretches like Illinois did. They had that stretch in the first half, which I think they went, 4 or 5 minutes without scoring, which let Michigan State come back. And then the second half, again, final 8 minutes, 21 seconds, 0 points. I promise you, I don't care how good you are, and I don't care how bad the other team is. If in a 40-minute game, you spot them 13 minutes of 0 scoring, it's going to be hard to win. And that's against a bad team. Michigan State, by the way, they're ranked the number 11 team in the country. They have dogs on that team. And right now, tonight, Illinois at the end just didn't. Joe, I agree with you. Joe says, I knew when Jersey was upside down, we were in trouble. And I said that. To me, that was just an insanely bad omen. It's like, I had a bad feeling right after that. And again, what are we going to hear at this point? Mike says, I've seen third graders play better than them at the end. Jason says, Sonny, stop defending Brad. He's garbage. What's his tournament record? Jason has said that he accepts the fact that this team stinks. St. Dominic thinks it's time for us to move on from Brad. I don't agree with that. Mike still says a 13 seed is in the future. Again, I don't agree with that. John Nelson says the Discord was more fun than the game. I truly suggest everyone checking it out. Thanks for giving my dad and I a fun conversation of what the public opinion was. Yeah, again, the link should be in the chat. If it isn't, I apologize. By the way, I also put a link to StreamYard. If you want to join me and do this like a good old-fashioned sports radio call-in section, just hit that link. Come join me. We can talk about it for a few minutes. If I recognize you. If I don't recognize you, I'm not going to bring you on because I have no idea what you're going to say. But, I've got a lot of everydayers on this channel. We are over, I think, 2,100, almost 2,150 when it comes to subs on this channel. All thanks to you guys. We're growing by the day. And because of that, I have a lot of you are everydayers who I talk with every single day. So if one of you wants to jump on, please do. Ryan says they may lose out. This schedule's not easy. I don't think you're right, Ryan, but I'm not saying you're wrong. Just off the top of my head, we have Wisconsin, Duke, Michigan, Purdue, and Iowa. Now, Iowa we should beat, but at this point, Jason asking the question, I'm wondering, where was Trey? Stop. What do I do? Mike says MJ is the MVP. No doubt about it. Morez Johnson played. He put the team on his back. I appreciate it. It's one of those things where he's the only guy who can go into that locker room and knows that he gave it his all. St. Dominic Rosary, I see what you say about the troll, but trust me, the troll is good for this channel. It's one of those things of the more engagements I get, the more people, the algorithm works out. So I don't actually mind the trolls. I just don't pay them any attention, and neither should you. Joe says something's going on with Trey. Joe, it sounds just like he's out of the rotation. Again, I'll watch the post-game press conference if I have to after I'm done here, or I'll watch it tomorrow morning. Usually the day after I rewatch the game, my DVR. How old am I? I got YouTube TV, so all the games are recorded. I'll rewatch the game, but I just think he's out of the rotation. Jason says maybe get off his 6-man rotation and use Trey White plus Draymore. Underwood's a good recruiter, not so much of a coach. That's what I'm saying, Jason. It's tough because I tried to stay neutral. I really do. I like Brent, okay, and I think that he is the best coach in the 30 years of I've been watching. And I'm so appreciative of where he's brought us. And I think he's the right coach for this team right now. But on days like today, I've been on for 33 minutes, and I think I've been venting about Brad for 30 of them. You guys won't trust my opinion on Brad if I try to pretend to ignore the things that he clearly doesn't do well. And I'm telling you, tonight, the Brad haters, it's your night. Enjoy. I get it. I'm with you today. I'm just as frustrated as you are. Czar says the analytics never count for if you leave people open with tons of shots. They are going to hit them more than their average. Mike says not making excuses. The ref cheated. I saw him touch the rim. I'm not worried about. We lost by 14, Mike. It doesn't matter. The refs can't do anything about a 14-point loss. Brad stinks. Joe says, stop going inside again. Sam says, that was the worst home implosion I've ever seen in my 25 years of watching Illini basketball. Sam, I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I'm sitting here frustrated, and I know most of you can see it on my face. It's one of those where I wish I had other hobbies besides watching sports, because that's what I'd go do. I wish I could go, watch a movie. I don't watch TV. I don't do anything. All I do is watch sports. That's Illini sports, Bears, whatever. This is the only thing in season. I know, as angry as I am, I'm going to get done with here. And I'm going to be, I already see a half a dozen messages on Instagram that you guys are, again, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram, Locked On Illini, on all your favorite social medias. So I'm going to be talking back and forth with a lot of you guys. Discord, same thing. Implosion is the right word. That's probably what I should have named this episode. It's just, we were so hyped. We're up 16 in that first half. on the day where we're honoring Terrence, and then you just have that, again, implosion. Global says game was jinxed from the second they hung TSJ's jersey upside down. Incompetence all around. 100% correct. Mike says, I'm a little mad, but very disappointed. I'm everything. All of those above. Yeah. Robert says, Illinois is soft, and Underwood is a terrible game coach, and obviously no one on that bench is. Mike also says Wisconsin is next, and they will not be good. I'm not looking forward to that matchup, guys. Wisconsin might drop 90 on Illinois on Tuesday. And if Illinois doesn't revert back to the inside-out game and they keep jacking up threes, that's a game we're going to get blown out. Czar says, I'm going to go watch the rest of the hockey game. I gave you a like, Sonny. Czar, I appreciate you. Look, Czar and I very, very seldomly agree on anything. But I still give him his attention because I know he comes on the show. I appreciate him. So be like Czar and hit that like button while you're here. We got 67 likes on 133 people watching. GF said, it's a shame that Morris is taken out way too much. GF, I don't think it's his fault. I think, because he's a young big, he gets winded. It's kind of it's an endurance thing. Today he played 25 minutes, but especially today, where he was the focal point of offense and defense. Avisa didn't have it today. Morez was doing the brunt of that work. And, it's one of those things where I think Brad was constantly taking him in and out to give him a breather here and there because we're relying on him so much. St. Dom's, of course, disagrees with me. How are you winded in February? I'm tired of the excuses. Get Shauna Green to coach the men's basketball team. By the way, I think most of you guys are listening to me. I'm not making excuses. I clearly said Michigan State was a better team. I watched the game of basketball for 40 years or 30 plus years. And if you keep playing the same guys over and over and over again, eventually you run them down. They're going to run into a wall. It's better to have 8 good players than only play 6 of them. This is not very difficult to figure out. Ross says, I got my like in, Sonny. This is going to be a hard one for you, but I'm holding the torch, waving it around to keep the trolls at bay. Appreciate you, Ross. Serena says, Brad can't ever adjust. I think back to the UConn game last year when he said at halftime he wasn't going to change everything, and they got crushed as a result. Need to evaluate Brad more seriously. Yeah, again, I'm a staunch Brad guy, but today it's just one of those where I wish I could sit down and have a glass of whiskey with him and Brad, listen, I get what your point is. I get what your overall big picture is. But sometimes you run out of time. And Illinois, right now, we're running out of time. We've ran out of time of winning this Big Ten Conference, obviously. But there's still a fading glimmer of hope to salvage the season with a good postseason run. But right now, I'm probably at my lowest point when it comes to my optimism of doing anything in March. Only because, again, roll your eyes. I know this team can beat anybody. This team can very well go to Madison Square Garden next Saturday and beat Duke at Madison Square Garden. But those nights, those are the exceptions to the rule. Earlier in the season, that looked like what this team was the average. That's what that team looked like it was going to be. We're now learning that, I know I said early in the season it would be a roller coaster ride, up and down, but then eventually, my thinking was eventually it would settle. It hasn't settled. We still have the highest of highs, and man, the lowest of lows. Jason says, crazy how I said this team is soft and has a pretty crappy HC and I get criticized for that. Yeah, I'm right. Jason, I don't know if you get criticized. We're allowed to disagree. One rep. First time I've seen that name. Appreciate you joining. Where's Trey White? I'm tired of this. Tired of the sick excuse. He's not sick anymore. Brad said he's simply just not in the rotation. Joseph says, this one is on Underwood 33 threes, no zone, like he never watched film. Exactly. And that's what I kicked off this show talking about, guys. I know. You're right. This loss is on Brad Underwood. And it's tough to say that because this was such a must-win in the grand scheme of things. Wisconsin Tuesday, Duke next Saturday. It's not getting easier. We're really looking. There's a chance this team might finish under 500 in the Big Ten Conference. Look, there's a lot of excuses to be made for this team because they're so young, the roster turnover, all that. And that's how I justify things at times. But there's no way this team is still, pure talent-wise, the best team in the Big Ten. And how ridiculous is that? This team's, 9-7 in the conference? At the beginning of the year, we're talking about how this, this might be the year Brad Underwood wins Coach of the Year. And this has clearly been a disappointing. He's not even remotely in the hot seat in my mind. Warm seat. So, I don't think that's what I'm saying. I'm simply saying I'm disappointed so far this year. And maybe there's a chance that his belief in his system is going to ultimately pay off. I'm just not that optimistic on it. All right, guys, I'm going to let you guys go. We're at 41 minutes already. I appreciate each and every one of you. Again, 71 likes, 130 people watching. If you don't mind, hit that like button on your way out. It's not easy, but a lot of you have been joining me for these post games after every single game this season. Just know that a lot of these names I find familiar, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Even on days like today where I know I'm going to run into a lot of angry, fiery people, I just want you to know I'm angry at myself. I'm emotional myself, and it's nice that we're continuing to build a community on this channel, that we all get to vent together. Even when we agree, when we get to celebrate together, but even when we disagree. A lot of you guys, I don't agree with, but I enjoy the conversation that we have. And it's just because we're doing such a good job in this community. I got a new episode lined up for you guys tomorrow. I changed it up a little bit. We're going to talk football. I think you guys are going to enjoy that episode. But otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow at some point. ILL. Love you guys.